Hey everybody, welcome back. So, I know normally I don't make videos talking about what I'm reading or books in general, and as a matter of fact, I've only mentioned reading and books one other time on this channel, but now I'm going to mention it again because of something that I have finished today. Well, the title makes it obvious. I have finished reading The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. I think that's how you say his last name. Might be Tolkien, maybe. Anyways, this took me about a year to read. Now, hang on. So, I thought when I started reading this that this whole thing was going to take me about as long as it took me to read The Hobbit, which I think was about 1 or 2 months it took me to read that. Now, I want you to see here. Uh, you're not going to be able to read that. Can you see that at all? I don't want to bend the pages too much. Granted, I've already bended them a lot. So that is a lot of pages. So we start out on page. It's probably easier if I just say it aloud than try to point at the camera. You start out on page 21, and then you end on page 1021. Now you probably need to subtract a few pages for like title pages, right? And also you got like the note on the text before you actually start the story. But my point on this is that I'm pretty sure. Oh wait, no, I also forgot to mention one more thing as well. So this thing is divided into 6 books. So when I watched the movies, I thought it was 3 books. Very dumbly, I assumed that it was 1 book per movie. It's actually 2 books per movie, which is why those movies are 4 hours long. So, yeah, it's 6 books. It's divided up into 6 books. And I'm pretty sure all 6, like any one of those 6 Lord of the Rings books, has more words than The Hobbit. I'm pretty positive on that based on how long it took me to get through each book. Granted, I do read pretty slowly, so that might have affected that. And my ability to also focus is when I'm reading novels is pretty terrible, and my imagination is also not very good either. So it takes longer to process like characters and images and all that. But yeah, this I like this. I like all 6 of these books. I was originally thinking on holding off on making this video until after I rewatched the movies because I am going to rewatch the Lord of the Rings movies and then I'm going to rewatch the Hobbit movies again just because even though I did that after I finished reading the Hobbit book. So yeah, and however, I can tell you that even though I haven't rewatched the movies yet, that there is a lot of stuff, a lot. I mean, look at this. Do you see how thick this thing is? I underestimated the thickness of this book and something else as well. Hang on. So now let's get to the actual. I'm trying to flip to a random page that doesn't have a song in it. There we go. Okay. Do you see this? Do you see how many words are on these 2 pages and how small that print is? I underestimated the thickness of this book, how many words were on each page, and how long it was going to take me to do it. However, I decided to just keep going, that I would just read all 6 of these back to back. And yeah, and then I did that, and I spent about a year doing that. So yeah, but back to what I was saying about the movies, there's a lot of stuff in this book that is not in the movies. Now, I will say the whole thing with Tom, I'm pretty sure is filler, so I don't really care that the thing with Tom got cut out. But there's also other stuff that got cut out too, and even though movies are like a visual medium, a lot of environmental detail is not in the movies. And something else as well is that I noticed that the third movie changed a lot of things from the last two books, like a lot. That definitely is where most of the changes were made. And I kind of actually wish that they just stayed true to the books in that instance, especially with like the ending, because there's like a whole thing at the end that they cut out. Whole thing with like the Shire is like being controlled by uh sour man sour sour we're gonna call him Sour Man because I can't pronounce his name correctly. Whole thing at the end after the dudes get home to the Shire, the hobbits get home to the Shire, and Saruman's minions are controlling the Shire now, and he's like secretly alive there and living back and there's like this whole thing about taking back the Shire, and they do that, and then they start restoring the Shire. Whereas like in the movies, they go home and that's just it. So yeah, and then Saruman also dies like way earlier in the movies because obviously they cut out the whole thing with taking back the Shire at the end, and they also cut out like the reasons why Frodo is going to the Grey Havens. I think it's Havens, not Heavens, because I'm pretty sure it's Havens. But they cut out why he's like going there. And I remember my mom and I were watching the end of the third Lord of the Rings movie, and she asked why are they going? And they didn't actually really explain that in the movies at all. Really like what the Grey Havens is, and like why these characters are going. Granted, with Bilbo, it might be kind of obvious because he's like super old, but they don't really explain it for like Gandalf and Frodo. And with Frodo in the book, they show that he's still like he's still addicted to the ring, even though the ring is gone. Like the pain from that is not gone, even though the ring itself is gone, and that's why he's going. And they don't show that, and they don't say that in the movies. And Gandalf's reason is not stated in the book. Although I guess, well, no, I guess it kind of is because he mentions to Aragorn during a conversation they have a little bit earlier that like the third age was my age, and I will soon not be here, and I am only present for the moment, was something that he said to like Frodo while they were walking back to the Shire. So they kind of hinted at him leaving, but that's not really the same thing as Frodo's reason. So yeah, and it's just, for anybody that has not read The Lord of the Rings, I do recommend that you read The Lord of the Rings. And in my personal opinion, I actually think it's better than The Hobbit. That's just my opinion on it. I could go into why, but that's like a really long conversation. The main point of this video that I want to make is that I have finished reading this book, and it took me a really long time to read it, and I'm very happy that I actually was able to get to the end of it and finish it, considering the fact that I don't do very much reading, and I do read pretty slowly, and the things I am reading, I guess, are not considered challenging to read, as in it's not using like words that are outside of like basic English. Because books that like use more non-basic English it makes it, that's considered harder to read because you may not know the definitions of those words or how to pronounce those words, which, I don't know why I would ever intentionally read something like that. But, anyways, I'm really happy about finishing it. I recommend it. I also recommend The Hobbit too, if you have not read that. Now, I will say, as far as the total number of books I've read this year, it's like 8, because instead of counting this as one, I'm going to count this as 6, since it's divided up into 6 books, and it took me forever. Therefore, I will, follow the table of contents and say that it's 6 books. So I think I've read literally 8 books, and that's also including the mangas that I've read. And as far as what I'm going to read next, you probably, well, I say probably, you did see it at the beginning of the video. I'm going to read these 2 things next. So, Full Metal Alchemist, I got the first one, and The Wishes in Dungeon. Where's the, oh, you can't really see the, no, you can't see the number, which is also the first one. My sister got me these for my birthday, so I'm going to read these next. I'm definitely going to read some mangas now, because I want to just read some visual novel stuff now. I will say I do generally enjoy the mangas a little bit more than the novels, because it's visual and I don't have a very good imagination. Therefore, I like the visual stuff better, and I don't know, I find it more enjoyable. And yeah, I'm gonna go through some mangas. Those are gonna be the next 2 mangas I read, and the next 2 that I read. And I think what I'll do is, just based on the thickness of it, I think I'll start with the Full Metal Alchemist, and then The Wishes in Dungeon, and then I'll probably read my 3-in-1s Hunter x Hunter books. I got the first 3-in-1s. That's the first 3, 6, 8. No, not 8. What's 3 times 6? I think it's 12. No, 18. No, wait, no, it's not 3 times 6. It's 3 times 3. 9. Because I have the first 3 of the 3-in-1s for Hunter x Hunter, so I got the first 9 of those. So I'll read that next, after I read Full Metal Alchemist and The Wishes in Dungeon, the first 2 of those that I have. Or actually, no, I'll probably read Full Metal Alchemist, The Wishes in Dungeon, the first 2 things of Fairy Tale that I bought, and then the 3-in-1 Hunter x Hunters that I bought. So that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to read next, because I want to take a break from the novels for a moment. So yeah. Anyways, that's about it. See ya, and bye bye.